Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly for pricing. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing the Richard Mille RM29. If you love the RM10 but you want a big date, you're in luck. This watch is 39.1 millimeters across from 9 to 3, not including the crown. It's 13 millimeters thick, and then from lug tip to lug tip, it is 47.8 millimeters with a rubber strap, sapphire front and back, and a titanium case. It is feathery light, but you can also see the legendary ergonomics of Richard Mille cases. It's not just that the watch has a tonneau profile, it's that the case back is curved and cambered to match the arc of the wrist. So we'll put it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. We'll get overhead and take a quick look at the watch. You can see that the actual case itself comes nowhere near the edge of my wrist, and you can see that well from over the top. So this watch will fit well on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters in circumference, maybe even 13 and a half if you're okay with the blockish appearance. You can see that it is very sheer in profile, and while it's not very thick in an absolute sense, the overlap of the bezel beyond the case means some of the tight dress cuffs will get hung up, but you should be okay with a jacket. Taking a quick look at the strap, it's an RM proprietary piece, and it features hollows in its case flank that match the hollows of the case band. We have some vents to relieve the heat, sweat, moisture of the wrist. We have a double folding titanium leaf spring secured clasp. I believe this is the one made by GNF Chatelain, excuse me, which is a company owned by Chanel. And then we have little spline screws inside the buckle, which also has relieved flanks, and then satin finish on top. It is titanium as well. You can see the media blasting within the satination. There's outstanding attention to detail even within the buckle of the clasp. And the nice thing about this leaf spring design is that once it shuts, it snaps shut with authority and stays shut. It's appropriate to a sports watch. We have a rubber shoulder for the crown, which is a turbine-like profile. And then you see there are little channels for the spline screws that bind the watch together. They're expressed as visible components of the structure. We have a vertical satination across the midcase, but also the lips of the bezel and the case back. There's a defined taper that continues into the taper of the strap, so even though this is not on a bracelet, it's as thoroughly integrated as if it were. We have a dial that is dominated by a big date. You can see the big date down there at let's say that's about 420. Now the watch does have a quick set system, and you can see how it operates. It is defined as a big date because it has 2 digits, and you can see they jump in unison every 10 minutes. So that is different from the standard RM10, which has a date, but with only 1 wheel. Now, the watch also has hacking or stop seconds. There is a carbon fiber flange that runs outboard, and on top of that flange are mounted little hour indices. Those indices are luminescent. We have a second sapphire under the primary sapphire. And take note, this sapphire is cambered to match the curve of the case. That's an expensive trick to achieve. So on that inner sapphire, you can see the printed Arabic numerals of the dial. Let's do a quick loom shot. There's plenty of it. And all 3 hands are loomed, including the seconds hand. So we saw hacking seconds, we saw the quick set date. Now you can see that the movement itself is made entirely of grayscale grade 5 titanium. So a super light watch inside and out, which you'll note better from the reverse side of the watch, is that each corner of the movement is secured with a little rubber donut that acts as a buffer between the case and the movement. So you have those 4 little elastomer shock absorbers for the movement. The watch is 50 meters water resistant. You can see once again the bridges and plates are made of titanium. Automatic winding, it has 2 barrels. It's a Vaucher based movement. We'll talk about that in a moment. The twin barrels contain 55 hours of power reserve. It has a rotor that pivots on ceramic ball bearings for low maintenance and high efficiency. You can see Vaucher, which is part of the Parmigiani family of companies, makes this movement base specifically for RM in this skeletonized grayscale titanium spec. You can see the little Vaucher star beneath the balance. We have white gold masses on the rotor. They can be moved in or out to change the polar moment or turning force of the rotor. So if you're very vigorous and active, your Richard Mille watchmaker can slow this down for you. And if you're like me and you're sedentary and you work in an office, he can increase the polar moment and maximize the winding efficiency, so it's customizable. We have a balance that beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and it has a free-sprung architecture, so being adjusted in 5 positions like a chronometer, it's very precise, and being free-sprung, it is very durable, and it will not change its timing due to shock or impact on the wrist. And again, 28,800 vibration per hour beat rate, all of this pivoting on 32 joules and grade 5 titanium. We have twin barrels, so that helps to even out the torque release of the mainspring, so you don't have a big balance amplitude drop off after 24 hours like you would even if you had the same power reserve but with a single mainspring. 2 barrels helps to even out the ebb and flow, so you have less surge and ebb of torque to the escapement through the full power reserve. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this Richard Mille RM29.